Story 1. Having a routine. No matter what my schedule is for the day, whenever I'm in a routine of getting up, getting dressed, and taking a shower, I'm in a good place. Once I stop that routine, thinking I can just hang out in bed for just one day, I'm ruined. Story 2. When I stopped being in a hurry. Urgency is a trauma response, and with current American culture focused on everything happening immediately, it's easy to lose yourself to being in a hurry. Story 3. De-emphasizing the importance of my every thought. Most human thoughts are nonsense. I question every single negative thought, and every single one so far has turned out to be false. No joke. It's a game changer. I feel compelled to add that I came to this practice by reading Eckhart Tolle and Byron Katie mostly. Both reference great spiritual leaders throughout human history, such as Jesus, Lao Tzu, the Buddha, and Ramana Maharshi, who all point to this notion as a path to end suffering. There are many contemporary writers who also point to the same truths. Suffering is optional. I am thrilled this comment made it to the top of this thread. For those who know, be generous with this advice. Humanity depends on it. Lots of people are asking what books I would recommend. The short answer is that you cannot choose incorrectly. It all depends on where you are and what grabs you. In my opinion, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle is a great introduction to his work. A Mind at Home with Itself by Byron Katie is what I'm reading now for the second time, so I suppose I would recommend that. But truly, read descriptions and pick what pulls you. Story 4. Learning to love myself. A few years ago, I was in a very low spot with my self-esteem, and I wanted to be better. My therapist and I talked a lot about treating myself like I would a friend. It sounds cheesy, but I started writing compliments to myself on post-it notes in the morning and placing them on a mirror. It didn't take too long before I started to believe them. It's amazing how being nice to yourself and giving yourself grace can really improve your mental health. Story 5. Keeping my surroundings clean and organized. I'm not saying you have to be able to eat off the carpet, although that's top-tier quality, but keeping everything tidy and in its place will help a whole lot. Story 6. Exercise every single day, preferably outdoors for me wherever possible. I combined it with giving up alcohol a couple of years ago and cutting out sugary junk food. There has been a massive improvement both physically and mentally. A bad diet and sedentary lifestyles are incredibly destructive. Now in my mid-50s, I look better than I did in my mid-40s, and there isn't any magic to how to do it beyond recognizing that it's okay to feel hungry. Story 7. Being the bad guy, also known as prioritizing yourself. Having been a chronic people pleaser, I was constantly drained and taken advantage of. I made a huge breakthrough when I realized I had to break up with my now ex. There is no escaping that some people will be disappointed with you. The question is, will you be disappointed in yourself? The right people in your life will be happy when you are. Simple, but it took me way too long to realize. Story 8. Removing toxic people from my life. It's amazing how much your mental health can improve just by removing someone who brings nothing but negativity to your life. Story 9. You are going to be fine, and even if you are not going to be fine, isn't it better to just exist thinking that you are going to be fine? And when it is not fine, then you can just handle it. There is no sense to ruin right now, right? The what-ifs were consuming me. I was losing my mind thinking about problems that have not happened and may never happen. This little quote from Bill Burr put a lot into perspective for me. Story 10. 5 pillars. Sleep, nutrition, sunlight, exercise, social connection. Spend each day trying to improve your health in those categories, and one day you'll notice substantial changes in how you feel. Story 11. Writing. You don't realize how much is ruminating up there until you take pen to paper. I've been writing pretty much daily for almost a decade, an outlet that's very near and dear to my heart. Other top things are spending time with nature and loved ones, and getting out of your bubble to try new things. Story 12. Hey OP. 48-year-old married father of 2 in the United Kingdom here. I will split it into 2 sections. The first is a well-worn path, but it works. The second is an embarrassing wade into the domain of no kidding Sherlock. Section 1. The proven methods. Admitting that I had a problem. This came when I was around 45. I admitted that feeling constantly empty, tearful, and hopeless was not sustainable. Seeking professional help, which resulted in points below. Medication took the sharpest part of the edge off the feelings I described above and allowed me to get my head above water emotionally. Therapy has been a core part of recovery. I have learned my core values and how I live by them. That makes me feel 100% me. I have also been able to understand, identify, and manage faulty or destructive thought processes. This one requires effort and perseverance. Section 2. No kidding, Sherlock. I stopped drinking alcohol. I would regularly drink until I had a hangover the next day, usually at weekends. Since I have stopped drinking, it genuinely feels like I am playing life on easy mode. Shout out to the stop drinking community. So yeah, that is me. I am a different man than I was 5 years ago. I would recommend the journey to anyone. Story 13. Becoming very mindful of the media I consume, such as television shows and movies. I no longer watch anything that isn't upbeat, and it has really changed how I feel. Story 14. Getting fired for refusing to sign a document that contained false information was traumatic. Being fired for the first time at 48 led to some remarkable events in my life. I have a stronger relationship with my significant other and my family now, and I have also experienced a lengthy period of personal growth. I stood my ground, lost my job, and reaped benefits much more valuable than money. Story 15. The second best thing I have ever done for my mental health is daily cardio exercise. I get about 2 hours a day on average. My mental and physical health have never been better. Story 16. Tapering off my Xanax prescription. I didn't realize how much of a fog I was in until I quit, and after 10 years on it, I realized it was making my anxiety worse. Proud to say I haven't touched any in 2 years. Story 17. Honestly, asking for help came from knowing myself well enough to understand the difference between being in a funk and when depression was creeping back in. One is easier to overcome than the other. Story 18. Honestly, drinking water and watching sugar intake has been beneficial. I used to only drink soda or super sweet tea, but I stopped, and everything feels mentally clearer. I'm more hydrated, and it's also an easy way to shed some weight. I highly recommend cutting soda for anyone to feel better mentally and physically. I didn't cut it completely. I might have a vanilla Coke once a month as a treat, but that's it. Story 19. I quit drinking. It was a frigging roller coaster, but closing in on 1,000 days sober, I can safely say I'm in a drastically healthier place, mentally and physically. Story 20. Vitamin B complex helps motivation when you are deficient. Some vitamin supplements help physical health, which may allow you to do whatever you need: exercise, sleep, and pain management. That all helps improve mental health. Story 21. Microdosing with mushrooms. Stop caring about how the world or others see me. I am old enough to finally realize I don't care about their opinion of me. I also realize I have missed so many beautiful moments by being held hostage by post-traumatic stress disorder and other issues. My kids are almost adults, and I wasted so many years letting that control me that I almost missed the happiest years of my life. Not anymore. If one day I spiral, I stop and think about those too, and I stay grounded instead of spinning out. Like in the movie Hook, for us old-timers, they are my happy thought. Story 22. Getting sober. It made my schizophrenia become almost a non-issue, and overall I just live a happier life. I just wish I didn't have those relapse thoughts. Story 23. Preface. I don't condone drug use, but for me, magic mushrooms were an experience. I took a controlled dose with a friend, with a set of questions prepared that I wanted to be asked while I was deeply introspective. This was so I could explore my inner thoughts on questions like, who am I? What do I value and represent? Ever since that evening, I've experienced a surge of confidence. I'm outgoing and able to communicate far better with people. I don't know if the mushrooms influenced my autism or what the interaction was there, but it was life-changing in the best way possible. Story 24. Learning how it all worked over the years, mostly by reading, gave me a different perspective. In my humble opinion, the basics should be taught at school. Neurosis of all kinds, obsessive-compulsive disorder, what happens when the image you have of reality conflicts with what you are experiencing, what psychosis is, what being bipolar means, borderline personality disorder, etc. Understanding that most people struggle, not everyone has the capacity to understand, let alone embrace and accept differences in others. We live in a society where mass psychosis is rampant and accepted, which is fine, but we have to understand it's happening. The fact people tell you that you should believe certain things and learn not to ask questions should give you a hint. We live in a society where most people are depressed and don't even know they are. Not knowing that feeling sad is normal and has nothing to do with being depressed is something that needs to be taught. So all in all, yes, there have been some studies that have been promoted as needing to be taught in schools. To me, this one is one of the basics. Learning about the human psyche from middle school, maybe if only an hour a week. Story 25. I have a combination of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors and vitamins to make sure I'm getting all the nutrients I need. Accepting that the brain is the enemy, it's an animal organ designed for survival, and your thoughts are not you. An unpopular one, but keeping my house decluttered and clean. With that, focusing on gratitude for the things I have. On that note, no advertisements or reminders that all of social media is an advertisement. Buying things will never make you happy, peaceful, or beautiful. Those all exist within yourself already. Story 26. Psychedelics. Not often and not as a party. As a therapeutic measure every 3 to 6 months. Changed my life both from a depression and anxiety standpoint, and also trauma processing. Story 27. Unpopular answer. But my mental health got better after I had a baby. Not because motherhood made me happier, but because I have so much to do now and so much to show and teach my baby about life, that in order for them to be the best version of themselves, I have to be the best version of myself. I get to relive life through my child's experiences. And as a mother, I have an opportunity to right any wrongs that were inflicted on me by my own parents. Story 28. Daily running and daily meditation. This radically transforms your mental health for the better in unseen ways, but the key is to stick with it for 3 months daily, no matter what, and start real small so you don't get overwhelmed at all. Start with half a mile of running daily if you aren't a runner, and meditate at first for only 10 or even 5 minutes to get started at first, eventually moving up to 20, maybe one day 30 minutes. I promise this will be incredible. Story 29. I moved to a small country town. Less noise, fewer lights, a slower pace of life, and nice people. Nature just helps me calm down. I'm not constantly overstimulated, so I'm not overwhelmed and always on edge. Story 30. I have a very noisy mind, and learning how to really meditate has helped quiet that a lot. Learning and understanding the Bhagavad Gita has also given me a different perspective of the world. Story 31. A random girl joined my job. I went from living day by day, feeling dead inside, not caring or giving a damn about myself or anyone else, to feeling actual genuine love for someone for the first time in my life. I wanted to make her happy, see her smile, and protect her. We're not dating and never going to, but I appreciate her as a friend. Story 32. I can't stress enough. Take care of your appearance, groom yourself, find a style that fits you and go for it. The emotional boost from looking in a mirror and seeing yourself as good, handsome, pretty, cute, or sexy is something else. Story 33. Developing an attitude that I am entitled to be average, and fiercely protecting my right to be average and imperfect. Constantly expecting yourself to be in a state of progress or improvement robs us of enjoying life. You have to be able to wake up and notice when you feel too drained and tell yourself, I'm going to rest today because, like all humans, I am deserving of rest and days. I am going to avoid all forms of productivity today. But here's the most important part. On these days, you cannot let yourself worry about all the things you need to do or beat yourself up for being lazy. We allow our electronic devices to recharge. It's just common sense. You are a human being, infinitely more valuable than an electronic device. Give yourself the same compassion and let yourself recharge without judgment. You made a mistake in life? Forgive yourself. It's a symptom of being human. Get good at forgiving yourself and try to do better next time. You will make many more mistakes, especially when you are old, so get in the habit of not having a negative emotional reaction. Also, I've noticed that becoming so patient and accepting of my own averageness has turned me into a kinder, more compassionate person to everyone around me. When you don't give yourself a hard time for making mistakes, you become extremely patient with people around you, especially with customer service workers. The most inconvenient things can happen to me, and I just have zero emotional response to it. And the customer service workers are so relieved by my patience. That's it. Also, get a dog. Story 34. Getting a hold of my insomnia and meditation and getting out of religion. I used to be a total psycho. I'm only a little psycho now. Insomnia is a terror, as is organized religion. Story 35. Transitioning. I waited 7 years after coming out as transgender to finally start my medical transition. I truly did not realize how unhappy and insecure I was. I was so afraid of being misgendered or experiencing hate crimes that I just did not talk to anyone. I am moving to a different state next month, and I am so excited to have a fresh start. Story 36. Being aware of my mental state. I'm in my mid-40s and have had several severe depressive episodes in my life. I learned about cognitive behavioral therapy and learned to understand more about my mind and how it works, understanding signals, understanding what I could do to work back to a healthy state. When COVID-19 and the lockdowns came, I was ready to take it head-on mentally. Physically, though, a lot of my poor mental health came from a lack of self-confidence and self-awareness. I always worried about what people would think of me. I basically don't care now. I am who I am successful in my own right, and I am happy with where I am in life and what I achieve.